this evening, and thanks for your attention as well. As Gautam mentioned, it's very interesting the way he put it, that if you go to your fridge and consume a little bit of orange juice or whatever, it says that not only that you consume it, but it's also sends an alert that you are run out of stock and you need to replenish. But there is far more to it. Today, there are more better IoT system which can also tell enough of this orange juice you have already taken, you are a diabetic and you cannot take any more juice for today until tomorrow's quota is you are eligible to take. That kind of specified intelligence also we see in IoT today. So let me start off by sharing a small presentation with you. Give me a minute, please. Shardur, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, REGU, we can see your screen.
Okay. Yeah. So I will start off with an introduction. Today, this terminology like IoT, Internet of Things, you have been hearing from multiple people, multiple industries. So what is this IoT means, and how does it really impact us as an individual or the industry actually? And is it something which is kind of disruptive to us, so that we should really be thinking about it very seriously and really be on top of this as professionals as well as from a consumer perspective. So those are all some of the questions I'm sure many people will have, and many of you might have also encountered information around IoT already. And let me give the perspective of this and where these industries are adopting. And IoT devices are not new. You are already using many IoT devices as part of your daily life. Suppose if you are calling an Uber or Ola, and you are actually using your mobile phone app that predicts the location that predicts the location of where you are, and automatically it also kind of takes the information from the cars that are available around you, from the real-time data that the cars are sending that to the cloud, because you know that car is in that particular location using the technology of GPS. And there is an algorithm that kind of moves in and calculates, okay, I am going to assign this trip for, let's say, Shardul to this driver, and immediately is assigned and you are able to take the trip to the place. In all of this, there is a real-time information about the, we call about the car. In this case, you can take that as a device, and that real-time information is communicated to a cloud. And then you have an intelligent application that kind of make decisions on top of that. And this intelligent level can be also a lot more richer as you really think about it. In Uber's algorithm, when there are too many requests and there are only too few cars are available, then they have put extra charge in terms of demand versus supply gaps. Or suppose if there are a particular occasion or an event, nowadays we are not meeting because of COVID, but if you have an occasion like a football game, and then there are a lot of people that are going to come out of it and they need cars, then the event is actually modeled into this algorithm. Then it can send scores of cars to the stadium location to fetch as many people as they need to take them out. So in all of this, the fundamental technology that we need to really understand is there is a sensor, which could be a GPS sensor in the case of this Uber and all. But in every other device, there is a sensor. Like if I have a fitness Fitbit, you know that it can measure your pulse and it can measure your mileage and whatnot, or your pace, everything. So like that, every device has a sensors, and that sensor has a way to communicate and send that information to a, typically it is a centralized cloud, and it need not be a cloud always, but very typically it's a cloud. We call that as the data storage, where you store that data. And then there is an intelligence on top of it. If all this data come, I have to make some intelligence out of it. So today, every application, every consumer life, industry life, or even films, or in resorts, or in travel, in hospitality, every industry can be phenomenally disrupted by this Internet of Things. This is a classic example. In the screen you see is a program called Now Reno Speak, actually. So the number of Renos in this country is actually, not only in this country, in the globe, is actually depleting very fast because of various reasons in the pollution and a lot of ecological unbalance. This program, Now Reno Speak, is a program where they are actually putting the sensors on these Renos, and they are able to really mark, identify, and track those Renos and their well-being throughout their lifetime in the wildlife, and be able to also provide care and protection to these rhinos so that they are able to live peacefully, and they can produce and grow in large number than becoming an endangered animals. There is another program where they are called as Trail Guard AI, where they are able to track the poachers. For example, they have a lot of sensors and geosensing information that they can kind of scan an area of 20 square kilometers, 50 square kilometers constantly. And these cameras can really understand undesired movement of people. And the moment they detect these people movement and some movement of some of the goods, they can actually communicate alert to the forest range officers and other people that there is something going on, you need to really examine this area. And it is precise in the sense that it can provide in this particular GPS location, latitude and longitude, that you want to go and check whether there is any poaching going on. So there is a lot of good applications that are coming for our ecosystem upliftment. There are good applications that are coming for consumers through IoT. So with that, I will give you some basic construct of IoT. So what is IoT in this sense is, you are actually taking some things. These things are inanimate and no, they are not having any communicative ability. We actually attach sensors to it. It could be a GPS sensor, it could be a temperature sensor, it could be a pressure sensor, it could be your pulse sensor, like the pulse oximeters now we have for COVID applications. It could be a SpO2 sensors. It can be any type of sensors, and that sensors actually determine the physical context. Suppose you are sending a goods through a fleet of trucks from Bombay to Chennai. I put a device there. I can actually monitor where the truck is, how long has been driven today, what is the fuel consumption they have got, where they have stopped, how much time they have stopped. And I can even get some more diagnostics. Like, for example, there are some issues in the engine, or there is some issues in the hardware. Through that device, I can come to know about it. So before he arrives in some stopping place like Belgaum or somewhere, we can say that he needs some replacement O-rings and the replacement air filters. We can arrange for it. So because we have these sensors, so the sensors basically is what we call as understanding the physical context and pass that information to the cloud, where you put your intelligence. That's where we build the intelligence using software. We call that artificial intelligence or digital intelligence. Thereby, you can phenomenally change the whole value proposition. You can enhance the value proposition, reduce the wastage, reduce the cost, and even just the experience. why Uber is successful, why Ola is successful is because that seamless experience it is offering today. And the same business model is taken in this COVID time by Swiggy, same business model is taken by Dunzo. All of them are fundamentally a real-time information, a set of demand patterns, a set of supply patterns, matching them through the algorithm that creates tremendous amount of value. And imagine without Swiggy and without Dunzo and those kind of food apps that we have to deliver at home, it would have, or even groceries, it would have been extremely difficult in this COVID circumstances. So this IoT, actually, I will talk later, is some kind of savior in this period of COVID as well, actually. So the concept is simple. You represent the physical context with sensor, collect the data, build the intelligence, and create new business models. So if you look at the recent McKinsey report, consulting report, they say that IoT is actually on the top of most impactful technology revolution. You can look at it. So it is around 11.1 trillion in terms of GDP value. And excuse me, can you be on mute, please? All of you.
Just can you put everybody?
Yeah.
Just can you put everybody on mute? They cannot open.
I already did that.
Yeah, thanks. Are you able to hear me okay? So the Internet of Things is kind of put across as $11.1 trillion in terms of the economic value added impact by 2025. And it's quite, as you can see, it's quite a heavy impact. And in terms of, it's almost 1/7 of our world GDP it can impact. And that is the extent. That is above the mobile internet, above the autonomous cars, energy storage, all of those technologies. McKinsey puts Internet of Things at the top of this disruptive technology list. And I was just mentioning about this. IoT is really serving as a savior in this kind of pandemic. From a pure layman consumer perspective, we talked about this door deliveries and ability to track, pick up items, monitor where it is, and provide the experience to the customers. Not only that, there is a whole lot of systems that are developed using IoT, especially in vaccines, because these vaccines have to be transported in a specific temperature until it is actually opened and kind of injected to the various patients or COVID people, so non-COVID people, to provide them the vaccination. So in this case, until it reaches the point of delivery of the injection, we need to maintain these temperatures between anywhere between 4 degrees to 6 degrees Celsius, and it cannot go up in terms of the temperature, then it loses its veracity and potency. So there is systems that are designed, for example, from the time it moves out of the factory, every batch, the box that we make, the batch is actually tracked with sensors, and then including the temperature on which it is transported through trucks or any other means, and what the temperature were there until it is delivered at the point of consumption, and a whole IoT system, we call that as cold chain monitoring, enables that. Similarly, and very interestingly, even in India as well as in many other countries in US as well as in Europe and other places, when factories started opening, because there is no way factories can be kept continuously shut, obviously with at least even with limited employees they had to open. When the factories started opening, there is a lot of protocols that they need to follow in terms of social distancing. They have to ensure that people have the PPE compliance, and a lot of things have to be maintained. And they also need thermal screening, and then they also need to create records that this and this person was probably closer to each other or did not maintain the social distancing. Because if one person get infected, they need to isolate all the people that came into contact with that particular employee. And in a factory of 1,000 people, unless you have a mechanism by which we know, for example, a person A got into contact with 5 other people today, and if A is detected, we need to quarantine the 5 other people. There is no way to do it because there is no technology. Nobody can make a note of it. So we in TCS designed an IoT system where people will carry a small badge with a sensor as part of their employee ID card. And wherever they go, it is tracking them. So their entire path within the factory is being tracked. And in a day, who you came closer to less than 2 meters is also recorded in the cloud. So if at all, if unfortunately that person tests COVID positive, we can immediately go to this system, understand who other would have been around him, and then isolate only that group and quarantine them. So we don't have to shut down the factory because there is one person was COVID positive. So this kind of what we call as connected digital worker solutions also has really picked up during COVID time using some of these technologies called with IoT. I think today, if you look at examples of IoT applications, as I said in the beginning, it's quite large. We use that in electric buses. We use that even coffee makers, and many coffee makers today can actually reorder because they have this refill packs in coffee makers around the world, and even in India we have some of those coffee makers. It can automatically order those refill packs, and it can also do pricing. It can monitor how many coffees have been made and what is left with reference to the stock and all of that. Many of the other industrial settings, if you go to, for example, airlines, aircrafts, today as the aircraft is flying, you need to decide how much fuel you need to carry. Suppose there is a flight from Mumbai to New York. The crucial decision to make is how much fuel to carry, because that is depending upon the actual operating efficiency of the engine, how much fuel it will consume for the flight, on the weather conditions through the path on that particular day, because if you have tailwind in Atlantic, you probably doesn't need to carry additional fuel. So a lot of this permutation and combinations are made. If you carry more fuel, you are actually because it's additional weight on the plane, so it's inefficiency. If you carry less fuel, obviously you don't want to run out of fuel in the mid-Atlantic. So it is a very complex, at the same time very important thing. So what we do is we take the weather data, we take the actual engine performance data, we take many other parameters. All of that on that particular day, how the engine condition is, all of that is taken and modeled for the airline to really determine how they should fuel it, what is the best route to take it. Not only that, these engines typically emit a lot of sensors are put into that. The data is collected, and some data is communicated immediately from the flight into the ground station, so that by the time it lands, the repair crew knows what repairs to attend and be ready with spare parts. So you don't have to hold the plane from flying, canceling the flight and causing a lot of inconvenience. So we see many applications like the steel industry and shipping industry. We see that, and I will give you a good example of pools, and in many advanced countries, pools are affordable at every home, and they have that, and it need to be maintained. And quite a lot of work is involved in maintaining those pools, like water quality and many of that. There is a lot of good IoT applications. We see that in a lot of retail stores in terms of monitoring the people movement, preference to the shelves, what do they buy, and those kind of things. I think there are a lot of more applications are coming in every new industry as we speak. I can't put everything in this, but I am sure you would be able to reimagine some of this application of IoT. This is actually a chart of from a consulting study by Everest analyst. You can see that the adoption of IoT is happening at various paces. Manufacturing has really reached a very high adoption and very high business impact, obviously because of the improvement it brings in the factories, in the supply chains, in the networks, followed by energy and utilities, because they are very, they have already systems, but they have not used the power of data and sensors to make intelligent decisions. So there is an opportunity there. The high growth use cases are coming from the blue boxes, which are healthcare and life sciences, travel, transportation, and retail and CPG industries. But as you can see, this IoT adoption is happening across industries, from banking to public sector to many other industries as well. And I just tried to kind of give you a flavor of what kind of solutions that IoT technology bring for these kind of different industries. Let me get the pointer. Yeah. What kind of different solutions are used in different industries? So I start with the healthcare and life sciences. A lot of work is going around remote patient monitoring. And again, it's a COVID time. Last 2 weeks back, my mom was ill and I wanted a consultation with doctor. And when I approached Apollo hospitals here in Chennai, they said, we don't do any physical visit unless it's critically necessary. You go to Apollo 7/24 app and you book an appointment with the doctor at the prescribed time. And from the app, the doctor will reach out at that time and do the consulting. And I did that. And at the appointed time, the doctor came on the smartphone in the video and talked to my mom. By the time we got all the vitals done, like temperature and SpO2 and all of that, and they could actually, look at her and her face and other signs, and they are able to really provide us guidance in terms of what they need to do, what tablets to take, and literally entire thing was managed remotely. This would not have been in the normal times, would not have been easily acceptable to us as well. But today, with this technology and the ability, the one good thing is, the next level is if I can get a kit by which I can put all these sensors, and the sensors directly feed this data into the app, then we don't have to tell it. So they can directly take that from the sensors, and the doctor can actually look at it and take decisions. A lot is happening in this. It's really a boon for India with our remote villages and the inability for doctors to access this one. All we need is a nursing assistant who can probably do some physical vital signs, BP and other thing, and tell the patient condition to the expert doctor, and then the expert doctor can prescribe and give opinion through these remote monitoring systems. A lot of medical equipment are getting connected. We talked about the cold chain monitoring. Then a lot of other things are happening around drug tracking and tampering systems. In the future, this is actually extent of adoption is still low, and it is a new technologies. In the future, in the near future, you will find even we are working with a professor in Japan using a technology called haptics, which actually allows you to conduct surgery remotely. So it's almost like you are working on a PlayStation, like you are a young boy or girl working on PlayStation. You just carry all of this equipment, everything is remote, and the surgeon is able to perform this in a remote surgery. And surgeon may be in Japan, but is performing surgery in Chennai. Is quite a possibility in near future. That is the use cases of healthcare I discussed. There's a lot happening in manufacturing. Asset failures and unplanned failures are very highly noticed in maintenance of factories. Smart factories, connected workers, or some of the new things that are happening in manufacturing. So like this, there are all these industries are adopting to these new technologies. So I'm going to not to bore you with more data, but to talk through a couple of case studies so that the effect is felt and you actually are able to appreciate it. This is actually a system called the TCS Clever Energy is our solution. We are selling to the market, but we internally developed this. So when before COVID, in India, TCS had around 135 large buildings, and even now we have, but just people are working from home. It's almost like 35 million square feet of areas, and we were consuming quite a lot of energy actually. Close to around 49 crore 62 lakh units of energy. Almost 50 crores units of energy per year we were kind of consuming. And if you take around 9 rupees per unit, it is almost like 450 crores of rupees we are spending on our energy bill. And we decided that we need to optimize it. We need to put IoT systems into it. So every building, every the HVAC system, the air conditioning system, which is the major consumer of energy in India, and also lighting and other consumptions that for our computers, data centers, and everything we have put sensor points across all those smart meters and smart sensors and devices. Collected the data centrally into our cloud. We have set up a monitoring center in Kochi. Across all these centers, you just sit there, you look at by minute, you will know what is the energy consumption, which building is going, how many people are inside the building, what is the per capita consumption of the energy. And we were able to provide a lot of optimization into it, especially the setting of ambient temperatures, the comfort factor, and reducing the air conditioning capacity when the number of people in the floor are less. When the weather is becoming more salubrious and nice, reduce the load on the compressor, on the air conditioning. Whole lot of alerts have been put. In fact, we saved almost around 15%, almost 75 crores per year on our energy savings through this monitoring system. In fact, when the system was put in place in 2016, our energy bill was higher than what we are actually consuming last year before the COVID. That's even though we have expanded 15% additional buildings and floor space, but energy bill is still less because every year we were optimizing this. It's a huge benefit for sustainability and CO2 reduction as well. This is another great example just to switch the industry. And as I said, in most of the big hotels and even homes, we can't afford in India pools in many homes in India easily. But most advanced nations like US with a lot of space and a lot of water, they typically build homes with pools of their own. And these pools are very large. This company which we are working with, manages and kind of provides services for full experience for almost 1 million consumers actually. So for them to maintain it, the water quality, the temperature, the cleanliness, the pH value, and so many other things, and every day you have to have a crew that provides the services, cleaning services. It's really a huge effort, and they put a lot of sensors on the pools, and they get the data from these pools. Almost 4 million sensors are sending data to this centralized system, by which then they take decision on how to deploy their field force to manage that, so that they can provide the best pool experience to their consumers. Lot of application is happening in retail stores. As I said, it's just unimaginable the amount of IoT use cases on retail stores. For example, they have a drone. You might have seen some of those drones we are doing for capturing images during events like wedding and all. The same technology and the same kind of cameras you can have. These drones actually go through the aisles in large stores. They go through the aisles and take pictures, and they are able to identify stockouts. Okay, this particular shelf is empty and we need to replenish it. And they are able to also do inventory tracking and stock taking using that, without deploying as many people trying to go and count the items in the warehouses and other things. This actual example I'm showing is a very interesting solution. They have something called very interesting solution actually, something called the self-checkout stations, and in India also I think some malls and stores have got self-checkout counters. Is where there is no person employed, the cashier is not there to check you out. You just come and you take the item from the basket. There is a scanner where you show the barcode and it scans it, you put it, and then you scan everything. After you are done, you can go and see your total and pay the money by credit card and walk out. So absolutely there is no human in between to this. It's called like self-check-in in airlines. It is self-checkout counters. The problem actually for the retail store is there is a lot of pilferages, and it's surprising even in developed countries this kind of behavior is there, but it is there. And how this pilferage happens is they take a high value item. Let's say it is $20 of high value item, and people actually switch the ticket. They literally peel off that ticket and put a low value item like maybe a $5.99 sticker on it from another low value items sticker. They paste that sticker and then they bring to the self checkout and show it. But they are scanning it. It's not that they are not scanning it, but the barcode itself is showing $5, but it is actually a $20 item. So the store loses $15 and they take away. And this solution, what we decided is actually this has a camera. So as you scan the barcode reader while it is taking the barcode information, the camera also sees the product and its fit and form, and compares that with the equivalent image, whether it is matches with it. So if you're taking a high value item against a low value item, it kind of gives a red alert. So somebody from the store monitoring team will actually come and talk to the consumer and check that out and make sure that it is proper. So this is a very interesting case of how you use the image, and you have to quickly decide that it is not matching with the ticket, and because that's the image algorithm to be developed, and then they go and take a decision to make that alert. This is another super interesting case study actually. They call this the Internet of Onions actually. This is actually, I give some examples from outside, but we also work with many Indian companies within our Tata group. We work with Voltas, Tata Power, and many companies providing some of our solutions. But this one is actually a large onion producers. They make containers and containers of onion in Netherlands, and they make big around 60 to 70 containers shipped per week. They send it to all the way from Netherlands to Africa to Latin America to many continents actually. And they travel for many days, around 20 days, 30 days, 35 days before it reaches the port, and then they get shipped to the store and then go to the shelves actually. The challenge for them is how they can actually keep this onion fresh through that transportation time of 20 days, 30 days. So they devised the solution that if they can actually keep the container itself refrigerated and then maintain the humidity and oxygen and temperature and certain parameters in the range, they can actually extend their shelf life to 35, 40 or beyond that. And then they went to this company which is shipping it, which is Maersk in this case, to actually design they called as refrigerator container, is called reefer trucks, designed that way, and they put these sensors in that reefer trucks, and then you actually brought the data into your platform, and every day you can monitor it. And so interesting is they could actually enhance the shelf life. And not only that, due to some reason, they could not maintain the temperature or something failed in the shape. And so the shelf life of that particular onion will reduce by 10 days. They can immediately move that container to a nearest port and consume it immediately rather than sending it to further port. So it is also avoiding food wastage and saving a lot of money for the supplier as well. So very interesting. They know where the ship is. We know what the temperature. I am just a manufacturer. Normal time, I would have just booked the goods and I don't know when it will arrive at the port, and I will wait for that to arrive at the port. Here we are giving every bit of information to the entire value chain. And even the retailer will know when he will get the stock, all of that. So it's this is how every industry is moving, friends. Across the industries I talked about, travel, hospitality, healthcare, just computing, mobility, shared mobility like Uber, everywhere the use of IoT is really kind of expanding. Technology is there. I didn't discuss any of the deep technology, architecture, cloud and all in this forum, but those are all there. And our India-based companies like TCS or any other companies like us are fully equipped to conceptualize these solutions and even do a prototype, showcase and realize it in very quick time. Thanks for this opportunity, and that's all I had for this day. I think I'm almost crossed the time as well.
Thanks, Regu. It was a wonderful journey. I have a lot of questions. Because of the time paucity, we may not be able to take all, but there is one very interesting question about the restaurant pilferages I got, is that I would love to help you with a restaurant pilferage app. So a lot of food wastage happens in restaurants. What are your thoughts?
Can you read the question again?
There are a lot of food pilferages happens in the restaurants across globe. Okay, yes. So is there any way technology solution for restricting that food wastage?
No, actually there is a lot we can do about it because the underlying concept is same. That is, if you have a image processing kind of algorithm, you can actually do a lot of decision. One is how much food is wasted, how to avoid the food wastage, how much food is pilfered, how do we avoid. For example, one of the very interesting solution we did is for Gate Gourmet. And these people serve food, in the airlines. If you're in the airlines, they have to serve. And if you go to business class and first class, there is a way you need to organize the food actually, where to keep the salad, where to keep the dessert, how do you present it, how do you put the crockery set and the silverware and all of that. there's a process. And one of the airline really asked us a solution that you put this arranged plate underneath this sensors or a camera. It will automatically say that whether it is an order, whether you have switched any of those items as per the recommendation.
Excellent.
So we can actually tweak that. Okay, if there is wastage, we can detect wastage. If there is more kind of pilferage, we can detect it. A whole lot can actually be done.
Okay, excellent. Well, there is one more question. Gentleman wants to know when there is a talk of super app from Tata's, when Tata is going to launch super app.
So that is out of syllabus for me, because that is coming from our group. I think they have a good plan, and I'm sure you will hear from them.
Okay, okay. Regu, I have a question for you. Is that let's say we are in 2050, would TCS show in their balance sheet like employee expenses, like a sensor expenses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think maybe you will probably see a lot more devices. That's why that's why our slogan is bringing life to things. So if I am bringing life to things, I have to find a way of showing it also.
Okay, excellent. And there's one gentleman, Mr. Rajiv Tandon, has raised the hand. Can I request Tejas so that we can hear him? We can hear him. Rajiv, what's your
I've
question?
already asked him to unmute himself. So.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, sir. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Sure.
So I was the person who had asked about the restaurant part of it, because I was in the hospitality industry for last 15 years. So the major restaurants, because there are like huge number of restaurants in India, and the major problem that they face is when the inventory comes in, obviously the owner is not there to check in at all given point of time. So if the material that is coming in, is it 1 kg, 2 kg or 3 kg? And then your food is made as per your tally that you've put in, and then the system is out. So that's like if like TCS can work on one of those details, it will be a great thing. And if I would be more than happy to help, because I have 15 years of experience in the same line.
No, absolutely. I think thanks, Rajiv, and we are very interested to look at it. And we also have a whole lot of ecosystem, even small companies that we help them provide the platform. They can also develop the solution, startup companies and other things we have. So I would definitely take this problem statement and see how we can reach out to you.
So also I wanted to ask you for LPG distribution.
May I request for the paucity of the time, we will have to have restricted questions. So Tejas, we are running short of time. Hence, I'm just
No, we are not
Tejas.
running short. We are not running short. With such a gentleman at the no, none of us are running short of time.
We have, I'll tell you,
I'm sure.
we have time. We have time. One or two more questions.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay.
fair enough.
I have an interesting observation
many...
to make, but yeah, go ahead. We can have one or two more questions. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So I was also talking about, like, we as LPG distributors. I'm a part of the LPG distributor fraternity, and we have in and outgoing of cylinders all the time. So if there is an app on that front, I would definitely want to discuss this and even put it forward to our distributor association. Absolutely. If you all have anything on those lines.
Absolutely. Actually, this is most simple use case you can have for cylinders, because every cylinder can be monitored. You can know exactly whether it is at a consumer home, whether it is at the garage, whether it is filled or whether it is empty, or whether it is on transit through the delivery or in the wagon. Everything can be done, and some technology can be realized in 1 month, actually.
Done, sir. So I've dropped my number. I want to get in touch with you.
So absolutely.
Okay, I think last question now. Go ahead. I think Shirish Rege has.
Shirish, yeah, please.
Yeah, you showed a chart about the demand for a lot of things in 2025, where IoT tops it, followed by mobile internet. What percent? So, in a way, both these things are related,
Correct.
mobile and IoT. What percentage of this will be driven by 5G, and how critical is 5G to success of IoT?
Yeah. So that's a very apt question. I think thanks for that. 5G is actually going to be a backbone platform for realization of this. Not that you cannot realize it today, but with 5G, it will lot more and richer and lot more features can be supported for IoT, because 5G provides us bandwidth that is required to send. If I have 100 sensors, I can send those data in every second using 5G because of the bandwidth latency is available. Second, 5G also is coming out. The telephone, that standards committee, telecom standards committee globally is coming out with a separate standard for IoT. IoT device data, how it can go, like your voice data and video data. How a device data, sensor data can be processed, and how it can be, taken and been out to the cloud and decision taken. So because of that, 5G IoT, as well as the standards and the 5G latency and bandwidth, it is actually going to enable almost 50-60% of what we have talked will be enabled by 5G.